little bit. So if you have blocks or a blanket maybe for Shavasana, a little more movement than than our Friday morning restorative class.
Are you going to keep us on video, Jode?
No, you'll just see Jody during the video. Yeah, once we start, I'll close everybody down. And
Okay.
I won't really see you.
so if you are working from a computer, you want to be on just speaker view. So I'm the one speaking, and whoever's microphone is taking over will right now, it'll show that person. But once Jody gets started, she'll be the only one talking. So then you'll just see Jody rather than little boxes. So gallery view is all the little boxes of everybody, and speaker view is just the person that's speaking. So on a PC, I know it's on the top right-hand corner. And Jody, you're on an iPad, so I'm on the top left or bottom?
It's the top left.
Top left, okay.
So it's almost time. I'm going to sit on my mat pad if you want to just give me the...
Yep. I'm just going to mute everybody from here.
Okay. Looking forward to it.
Well, good morning.
Just a minute, Jode. I have to unmute you. I just got to find you on the list here. Okay. Jody, you're unmuted. There's still people coming in.
Okay.
So
I'm going to talk a little bit first so they can just keep joining as I'm talking, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, last week during the practice, I talked a little bit about kind of this surrendering and then pushing away into the ground. We'll review that a little bit again today so that you have a little bit more of an understanding of how we move in these yoga sessions. But also I brought my little toy from the yoga studio. So a lot of you that come to the studio have seen this, but this is to symbolize our breath and how when we breathe, we don't just breathe into the front body. So a lot of yoga classes that I've been to talk about breathing into the belly, breathing into the chest, and it's all focused on breathing into the front body. But really we breathe and the whole body moves. Every part of our body is actually connected and moving all at once. So when we breathe in, we open and expand, not just in the front, but into the sides and into the back, up, down. And then when we exhale, there's this collective drawing back in. So we want to make sure that when we breathe, we're also not forcing our breath. In my classes, I really emphasize that we don't force anything, whether it is the posture, the stretch, the breath even. So we go gradually, we just build it slowly. So maybe this is your normal breath, and maybe we just go a little bit more and a little bit more each cycle. So we don't go right into a deep breath right away because it really just shocks our nervous system. So our breath work is the yoga for the nervous system. It affects our nerves. And when we're stressed, that affects our breath. So when we take control of our breath, we are taking control of how we feel, our nervous system. So it's really an important practice right now, especially when we're all stressed out and our regular everyday life is just changed. And having this opportunity to stay home, for me, I'm looking at like a little cocoon sort of, where when it's all finished, I'm going to emerge with a stronger practice, a different way of looking at things. It's like the butterfly coming out of the cocoon a little bit. So we have an opportunity to create change in our lives and reflect in this time of being quiet and really contemplate. And when we practice yoga, it gives us that opportunity to really go inside and watch the body from the inside and watch the emotions and the thoughts and how we process things. And know that we can kind of get through this together, even kind of alone. So this is a nice opportunity to share. And I really appreciate you guys all coming and sharing your time with me in the mornings, and with Pat and our Healing Movements family. So I appreciate it. So let's just start sitting. So finding a comfortable seat, and maybe that means sitting in a chair. Maybe that means having the legs out or legs crossed. And you have the option of either closing your eyes or just looking down and softening the gaze, letting the vision come into that periphery so that you're taking everything in, and in a soft way. And then just notice your physical body. Is there any way of making self-adjustments to be a little bit more comfortable? So maybe sitting up straight doesn't feel comfortable. Maybe it's better for your body to create a little bit of softness and round the shoulders a little bit. That's all right. This is your time, your hour, so make it feel good. I've been studying anatomy with a man named Gil Headley for the last 5 or so years, and his words of, we need to increase our tolerance to pleasure. I love it, because we really do need to focus on what feels good in our bodies and stop pushing ourselves and pushing our nervous system. We get enough of that, and this is the time to take a step back and just watch what is good for me. So noticing what is happening in the body. Where does your mind's eye go? Do you find sensation? What does it feel like to breathe? And without changing the breath, can you notice how the body moves, the whole body, with our breath? And then what happens if you offer the weight down? You feel the connection to earth. You let the weight drop, and you might feel this rebound force that lifts you up through the top of the head. So we have this connection with gravity down to earth, and also this connection to the space around us. So notice the touch of the air on your skin, even through your clothes. And the movement of air inside as you breathe. And then if it feels okay to you, you can start to focus on your exhalation, on your out breath. And maybe that exhalation just deepens very slightly, almost as if you don't feel a change, but very little, it's lengthening. The inhale will just follow. And then with each breath cycle, allowing that exhale to deepen just a little bit more. And then a little bit more. So that slowly the breath becomes deeper and longer without forcing. And then thinking of that image of my little breathing toy and how it feels in your body to move in all directions. How we expand from the center and we come back to center. I'm going to do a little pranayama, a little breathing exercise, and this is one from Dharma Mitra, from a retreat Pat and I went to years ago. So on our inhale, we're going to move from our first chakra, the root chakra, the very base of our spine, and we'll inhale up to the crown of the head. And then exhale down to our second chakra, our sacral chakra, below the belly button. Inhale up to the top of the head. And exhale into our third chakra at the solar plexus, the belly. Inhale up to the crown. And exhale to the heart. Inhale to the crown. Exhale to the throat. Let the throat be soft. And again, back up to the crown. And next to our third eye, center the space between our brows. And again, up to the crown of the head. And then focusing on the crown of the head, again, our connection to space. And then when you are ready, we're going to do that again, but we're going to add on a counting. So we're going to inhale to a count of 3. So inhaling to 3. We'll hold the breath for 6. Then exhale to a count of 4 to our solar plexus. Inhale to a count of 3 up to the crown. Hold the breath for 6. Exhale to a count of 4 to the belly. Inhale to the crown for 3. Holding the breath for 6. Exhale to the heart for 4. Inhale to the crown for count of 3. Hold the breath for 6. Exhale to the throat, count of 4. Inhale, count of 3. Holding for 6. Exhale to the third eye, that space between the brows. Inhale for 3. Hold the breath for 6. And exhale. And then just come back to your natural breath and observe how you feel. You can softly open your eyes when you're ready. We'll take our hands to the floor. Let's take actually our left hand to the floor and just lean gently into that hand. So you bend the elbow a little bit and feel our connection again to earth, that dropping of the weight, and just kind of push into the floor to come up just a little and then surrender back down. So it says yielding and pushing. So continue like this, kind of leaning in and feeling how the weight drops and that push to bring you up. And then we'll switch sides. So switching over to the other side, feeling our hand on the floor, leaning gently where you're comfortable, offer the weight down, and you kind of push to come up a little. And then surrender down, that yielding and pushing. And just notice what it feels like to surrender. It's like the bones are sort of floating in the middle of the body, and it's our bones that kind of move, and then come back up. Then come back to that first side, lean a little bit into that side, and then notice what it feels like to bring tension. So if you push into the floor and the body kind of comes up, notice what that feels like to be a little bit more firm, and it's not feeling very good. So let's just come over to the other side. We'll try that. So leaning in and then push with a little bit more force. It's like a push, not a leaning and pushing. And there's a difference when we come into it, right? So let's just add on to that. We're going to lean back into the first side, offer the weight down, and then push and come back up and go to the other side. So we feel that softness, and we're just going to go back and forth from side to side. And if it feels okay, we can start to add the arm that's not leaning into the floor, maybe comes up and over, and we windmill over to the other side and kind of move in a way that feels very fluid and soft. So the muscles aren't creating tension. We're keeping the movement very fluid and flowing. So our bones actually float in our sea of connective tissue, in our sea of fascia. So when we can keep the fascia soft and fluid, the whole body starts to work and the muscles don't take over and create tension in our body. And our nervous system lies in our fascia. So it is actually massaging our nerves to move in a way that feels good. Okay, one more time on either side. And then slowly come back to center, pause, take the hands to your knees, and we'll just start with some little Sufi rolls. So just coming into circles with the torso and just moving as fast or as slow as it feels good to you. You can close your eyes and just notice what it feels like to move. Where do you feel the stretching and the movement? Your movements might be quite small or maybe they're bigger. And then let the movement go in the opposite direction when you're ready. And then notice what that feels like to go in the opposite direction in your body. Often the same movements can feel so different. And then slowly come back to center, pause. Let's take the hands to our sides. We'll inhale, let the arms float up. As we exhale, bring the elbows to the sides and open up our hands. Let the fingers open up and then soften them a little bit so that their energy is kind of coming right out of the fingertips. As we inhale again, lengthen through the top of the head. And on the exhale, we'll slowly start to turn to the right into a little bit of a twist. Again, nothing forced, just notice where you go, notice where you stop. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, pause. Inhale, re-lengthen. And exhale, slowly start to twist in the opposite direction. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, pause. We'll do one more time on either side. So inhaling as you move to the side, really watching the body from the inside, what's happening. Exhale, back to center. Pause. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, twist to the last side. And then inhale, back to center. Exhale, the arms come down to the floor and we'll slowly transfer onto our hands and knees. So if you need support underneath your knees, you can put a blanket. Otherwise, let's sit up with our knees right underneath our hips and our hands underneath our shoulders. And then just for a second, come up onto the tips of the fingers. So the palms of the hands are off the floor, fingers are spread a little bit. Soften the elbows and really feel that connection into each of the finger pads. And then let your hands come down. Gather those tips or those pads of the fingers and draw them in. It's like you're gathering the fingers towards the center of the hand. The palms become light and our wrist becomes the sixth finger and evens out the weight. So elbows are soft, tops of the feet leaning into the floor, heels beaming back. We'll start with cat-cow as we inhale. From the tailbone, let the belly drop, the head comes up. Think of the crown of the head lifting, not the chin. Shoulder blades roll back the spine. Exhale, rounding the back again. Let that motion flow from the tailbone to the top of the head. And then work with your breath as you inhale. Let the motion flow from the tailbone to the top of the head. Heart is beaming forward. Exhale, rounding the back. And just feel the body as you move and open up the spine. Notice if you're creating tension anywhere and can you adjust in any way to be more comfortable. Let it feel good. And then just one more cat-cow with your breath. And then come to a neutral spine when you're ready. And we're just going to create a square shape with our the weight of our body. So we're going to lean into the top left hand. So we're going to shift the weight over to the left hand. And then start to shift the weight into the right hand and feel that. Push that hand and shift back to the right knee. And then the left. And then push forward and come back to that left hand. So continue moving into the square shape. And notice when you kind of push off, so there's that leaning and yielding. So we offer the weight, we push away to create that lift up. And then if you like, we'll start to go in the opposite direction when you're ready. So start to shift the weight into the right hand. Push over to the left and just feel how the body shifts, transfers. Let the weight surrender as you come into the hand or the knee where the weight comes in. Just notice how it takes it and offer the weight down and then push it away as you shift from position to position. And then when you're ready, come back to our center. Pause for a moment, just notice how you feel. And then we're going to shift forward and back. So we're just going to shift the weight forward so the heart comes over top of the center, the shoulders over top of the fingers, and then push into the hands and shift back. And then yield, feel the weight dropping down and shift forward. And as the weight comes forward, offer the weight down. Push into the hands and shift back. So again, shifting forward and back and really watching what's happening in your body. What does it feel like to move? What muscles are engaging? What's letting go? And then come back to neutral spine. Let's just for a moment sit on our heels and just let the wrists come into a little bit of a break. So take them into circles, one way, then the other, and just maybe shake out the wrists. And then open and close the fingers a couple times. Okay, and then we'll come back to our tabletop position. But this time we're going to take the hands maybe one hand length forward. And we're going to move into what we call spinal wave. So we move now into a bit of a up dog. So I'll just show you first. It's like a moving cat-cow. So as we inhale, you'll round the back like cat pose and shift the hips back towards the heels. Exhale. And then as you inhale the next time, keeping that wide open back as we shift forward and the heart beams through the shoulders and we lift up through the top of the head. Tops of the feet pushing down, exhale. On the inhale, the tailbone leads us as we round our back, shift back towards the heels. Exhale. On your inhale, rounding the back, feel that shifting of the body as we come forward, watching that the hips don't sink down too far. Shoulder blades slide back, exhale. Push into the hands, shifting back. Wide open back. So think of moving both ways with a really wide back. And then just continue at your own pace. Coming forward and back with that wide open back. Exhaling when you come to each end. Dropping the weight. And then find that yielding and then the push to move. So one more. Feeling the body move. Feel the length through the front body when we come into this up dog. And then the next time we come back towards child's pose, let the hips come back to the heels. You can take your hands underneath your forehead and let your forehead rest. And take a moment to breathe into your back body. You can adjust again your child's pose if you need to take the knees apart or the hips up. Breathe. Feel the breath in the back. Feel the beating of the heart. And then when you're ready, let's come back up to tabletop position. Let's curl the toes under. Take the hips back towards the heels. Maybe the hands come back just a little. Find that rounded back and push into the hands to lift the knees and let the legs lift you slowly into downward facing dog. The knees can be bent in your down dog and it doesn't matter if the heels are off the floor or if they're touching. Now, what does it feel like if we push the hands and feet away from each other? Do you find that rebound force up through the center? And then lift both heels off of the floor. Bend the right knee, let the left heel come back down. Lift the left heel up and take the right heel down. We'll do that again. Lift the right heel, take the left heel down, push the hands forward. Lift the left heel and take the right heel down. Take both heels off the floor, bend both knees quite deeply, and step your feet forward or walk your hands back towards your feet coming into a forward fold. Uttanasana. The knees can be bent here. Turn the palms to face up if they're touching the floor. Offer the weight down. Let the weight of the head bring traction in through the spine. Wiggle around a little. Release any tension. And then find your feet, the 10 toes, the heels. Root down through the feet, bend the knees, offer the weight down, that pushing down to come up. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale, hands come to heart. Let's inhale, take the arms up. So just feel them move. And exhale, let the arms float down. Let your knees be soft. Let the pelvis be soft. Root down through the feet. Inhale, arms up. And exhale the arms back down, really watching them as they move. One more time, inhale. And this time as we exhale, we'll let the hips shift back, let the feet root down and slowly bow forward into forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, so lifting the head and heart, hands can be on the shins or the knees. Think of the spine lengthening from the tailbone to the top of the head. Exhale, fold forward. Hands come beside your feet and step back into downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, slowly lower the knees to the floor. Round your back and shift back like we did earlier. As we inhale, rounding the back, slowly coming forward into our up dog. Shoulder blades slide back, heart beaming forward. Push into the hands, shift back towards the heels. Hands come back just a little, and slowly we transfer back to downward facing dog, watching. Offer the weight, feel that connection to earth, that surrender, to bring that ease and that softness in through the body. Stretching the entire backside of our body. Inhale, lift the heels. Exhale, bend the knees, look between the hands. You can step or hop forward. Uttanasana, forward fold. Bend the knees, inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, arms up, push down to come up. Exhale, fold forward, so you're bowing. You're offering the weight, so feel the body as you slowly come down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Pause here for a moment and bend into your left knee. Take the left hand to the floor, so maybe you need a block here. Take the right hand to the right shoulder and slowly lift the shoulder up first towards the ceiling, and then let that arm maybe come up towards the ceiling. Breathe into the stretch. Notice where you can soften, where you can offer the weight a little bit more. And then let your hands come down. Bend into both knees. Inhale, reverse swan dive up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Lift the head and heart. Exhale, fold forward. So watching all the movements. Gently bend into the right knee, right hand to the floor, left hand to the left shoulder. Lift that shoulder first and let the arm maybe come up. The hand can stay on the shoulder. Breathe into the stretch. Feel how the body is holding itself and self-adjusting constantly. It's always doing stuff to hold you. Slowly lower the hand down, bend into both knees. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale, hands to heart. Okay, we're going to add on to this. So inhaling, arms come up. Exhale, fold forward. Take your time, feel the body. Let it feel good. Bend the knees if you need to. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. You're bending the left knee again, left hand to the floor, right hand to the shoulder, and slowly lifting up. Maybe the arm comes up. Now, offer the weight into the feet. Push down into the feet to slowly come back up and come into a standing twist. Take the right hand down to your side and let the left arm lift up. Come into this nice little side bend. Inhale, coming back up with both arms. Exhale, fold forward. Take your time, feel the body. Inhale, halfway lift, head and heart. Exhale, fold forward. Bend into the right knee, right hand to the floor, left hand, left shoulder, lifting it up. That arm comes in the air if you like. Breathe. Where can you soften? Root down through the feet, push into the feet to slowly come up into your twist on your side. The knees should not be locked, so watch that you're not locking the knees. Take the left hand down, right arm comes up. Feel the body as you move. We're not just getting there, it's watching the whole process, everything. It's moving meditation, it's full awareness. Inhale, slowly windmill the arms back down to the floor. Coming back to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Lift the head and heart. Exhale, fold forward, bend the knees, hands to the floor, step back, downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, bend the knees, shift the body forward and come into a plank. So the knees can come to the floor if you prefer. Shoulder blades back, watch the hips don't sink down. Find softness in your plank. And then if your knees are up, I want you to lower your knees to the floor. Take your tops of the feet, point them back, and then shifting forward just a little, bend the elbows and slowly lower all the way down to the floor. Once you're down to the floor, I want you to lift your left leg just a couple inches, reach it back. So it's like you're stretching right from the center of the body, and then lower that leg down right beside the right leg. You feel how much longer that left side of the body feels. And then lift the right side, reach that leg back. Don't worry about height, just reaching back. And then lower that leg down right beside the left leg. Let the tops of the feet root down. Think of the magnets between your ankles and your knees. So these inner leg magnets are drawing in towards each other. Heels are beaming back. Pubic bone rooting down into the floor. And then slowly, let's take our forehead to the floor. Hands beside us. As you bring the hands right underneath the shoulders, elbows tucked close to you. And when we come up into our cobra, I want you to think not just of lifting up, but I want you to think of reaching the forehead forward, not the forehead, the crown of the head forward. So we're finding that length, and then it lifts you up. We're not pushing into the hands, so we're just lifting up just a few inches. It doesn't matter how high. We're not lifting the chin, so the chin is staying tucked in. The length through both the front and backs of our neck feel open. Let your belly soften. Let the whole body soften a little. Do a little bit less, so as if you could hold this for quite some time. We're creating length. We're reaching forward with the crown of the head. And then when you're ready, slowly lower down. Let your head turn to one side. Let everything relax. Breathe into your back. And just take a moment to feel the connection again to earth. The parts of the body that are touching. And then can you get a sense of what it feels like for your bones to kind of be floating in your body? Like a log on water. Think of your spine like a floating log. And our breath is sort of moving the waters. Let your head turn to the other side. Reconnect to the legs, the pubic bone, inner leg magnets. Bring your forehead to the center one more time. And when you're ready, again, we're going to lift up, again, finding that length first. So from the center of the body, extending forward as opposed to up. So don't be seduced by height. When we go a little bit less in this pose, the whole body works. And the major muscles don't start taking over. We're still opening the heart. We're still doing a little back bend. But it should be comfortable. So don't lose that floating log feeling of your bones. So if you start to feel tension, then the logs can't move. They can't float. And then if it feels okay, you can slowly start to turn and look over the left shoulder. Keep the right shoulder back a little bit. And then slowly the head comes back to center. And then we look over the right shoulder. And then come back to center. Slowly lower down again. Let your head turn to one side. Find your breath. What does it feel like to let go? Let your head turn to the other side. And then come back to center, push into the hands, bring yourself back up to tabletop position. Let's go through just a couple cat-cows, just to feel as a counter pose, those little mini back bends. So go slow. Don't go 100%, maybe you're going 70%. Just notice what it feels like through your cat-cow now. And then when you feel ready, come back to neutral spine. This time we'll take the right foot and we'll just step it up between our hands. So that right knee is right over top of the ankle. You might want to use a block close by if you have one. Just bring it close. And we'll walk our hands up to the knee. So the right foot is forward. We're going to take the right hand and make a fist. And take that fist and place it to the behind our right hip. So now I want you to think of this knee pushing back into the hip and the hip pushing into the hand and the hand pushing into the hip. So this front foot is rooting down, this right knee is coming back, and we create a little bit of tension, of an engagement quality. The left foot is rooting down as well. The toes are pointed back and it's connected down. And then keeping this sense of engagement, this connection, as we slowly start to let the hips come forward. So it's with a sense of engagement as we let the hips come down a little bit, stopping where it feels comfortable. Now you can take your hand from your back and place it back on the knee. The heart's lifting, shoulders coming down. Think of space, again, up through the top of the head. So you can keep your hands on your knee, or maybe the hands come to your heart, or maybe the arms start to float up. If they're coming up, watch the shoulders don't come up. Let the inner elbows come towards each other a little bit. And then notice if you've lost this connection from the knee to the hip and the foot. And then we're just going to find that yielding, so pushing that foot into the floor. So offer the weight into that front foot to push down and let the hips shift back. The hands can slowly come down to the floor, and this front foot might come into a flexion. So we're lifting up through the top, and again, you can use a block or a book if you have one close by. We're going to lift up through the top of the head, and on our exhale, rounding the back and bowing over top of this leg. Inhale, lifting up again, rolling up the spine, heart lifting up. Nice flat back. Exhale, fold forward, rounding the back. One more time, lifting up. And this time we'll bend into the front leg, shift forward one more time. We'll curl the toes under the left foot and lift that knee off of the floor. So if you feel like you need to adjust that foot and bring it a little bit closer, this is an opportunity to kind of readjust. Pushing into our feet, let the feet kind of push away from each other to engage the whole body. And then again, walking our hands up the front knee. Bend into the back knee quite deeply. And we feel this sort of dropping of the weight down. And we're kind of pushing up and down. So hands can be on the knee, they can be at the heart. So bending into the knees, come down a little bit. Make sure the neck is soft, the eyes are soft, and then coming up a little bit. And then one more time, coming down, and then up a little bit. Bend into both knees. Maybe we stay here, maybe we take the arms up. Find your breath. And then from here again, we're going to take our arms into a cactus shape like we did at the beginning. Spread the fingers wide and start to rotate a little bit towards the right in a bit of a twist. Slowly come back to center. Let the arms float up. Exhale, let the hands slowly come down to the floor. Straighten out the front leg and start to walk the hands to the left and turn both toes to the center so that you're facing in a lengthwise along your mat, and the hands can come either to a block or to the floor in front of you. And then we're just going to bend our knees a little bit here, root into the feet. So the heels should be out a little bit, toes are in just a bit to get a little bit more space in through the back body. Inhale, push the hands into the floor, lifting sort of like a halfway lift, straight back, length through the spine, bend the knees, offer the weight down, fold forward. Inhale, push into the hands, lifting up, halfway lift. And this time, take the left hand to the floor, right hand to the right shoulder. Let that shoulder come up. Maybe the hand stays on the shoulder, maybe it comes up into a twist. Slowly lower that hand down. We'll switch sides. So offer the weight down first. Push down, come up into your twist. Again, you can choose if you want your hand on the shoulder or up. Just depends on how you feel. Slowly let that hand come down to the floor. Bend into both knees. Walk your hands back towards the front of your mat, rotating, and gently step back into downward facing dog. So push down into the hands to shift back and readjust. If downward facing dog isn't good this morning, come to the knees, come into child's pose. In fact, everybody can lower to the knees, shift back to the heels, come into child's pose for a breath or two. Again, you can adjust if you want your hands under your head or forward, or maybe the hands are beside you. Breathe into your back. Feel the beating of your heart. Feel the body connecting to earth. And then when you are ready, we can slowly come back to tabletop position. We'll curl the toes under, hips shift back, and slowly let the legs lift you into downward facing dog. Actually, lower the knees one more time. And we'll take the left foot and we'll step the left foot forward. Okay. Again, if you used a block on the last side, you can bring it close by. And then coming back up again onto our knee. So the left knee is now over top of the left ankle. We're finding the foot, so we're rooting the toes and the heel down. And then again, make a fist with your left hand, take it behind your left hip. And we're pushing this left knee back, the hip into the hand and the hand into the hip. So we feel this engagement. That back foot is leaning down. And then keeping the sense of engagement as we slowly let the hips come forward. Go where you're comfortable, but don't lose that connection. And then again, the hands can come back to the knee, to the heart, or maybe they come up. The neck is soft, the eyes are soft. Feel the beating of the heart. When we lift the arms, we actually get a little bit more oxygen in the lungs because the diaphragm is lifting. So just notice how much more you can breathe here. Take the arms again into that cactus shape, opening the heart a little bit more. And then on your exhale, we'll slowly turn to the left, coming into a bit of a twist. Just notice where you stop. Don't force anything. Let your body go where it goes. It doesn't matter how far you twist. We just feel where we go. We just notice what's happening. And then notice if you lost connection to your foot in the front or the foot in the back, slowly come back to center. And as we push into the front foot, slowly straighten out the front leg. The arms come down to the floor, using a block if you like, flexing the front foot so you can adjust that leg if you need to. Find that stretch, that length without forcing. Inhale, lift up through the top of the head. Exhale, rounding the back, bowing forward. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, bow forward. Feel everything. One more time. Inhale, lifting up. Bend into the front knee, shift that foot forward, curl the back toes under, lift the back knee off of the floor, again adjusting that foot if you need to. From here, you can either keep the hands down or maybe bring them again to the knee. Bend into the back knee, so we're feeling the weight into the feet. They're pushing away from each other slightly, and then just straighten the legs up a little bit. Knee down, and then push down to come up. And then come back down again. And then come back up. And then coming down. Pausing here. Maybe the arms come up. Let's come into our little twist again. Let the arms come to the left side. And then come back to center. Let's windmill the arms down to the floor. Step that front foot back. Come into downward facing dog. Lower the knees to the floor. Sit back and let's just swing the legs forward. I'll come facing you towards the front. Here, if you want, you can put a little bit of height underneath, maybe a little blanket or something. Lift the heels by flexing the feet so the heels are beaming away from you. And then let the heels lean down. We feel the knees lift up and let the tops of the feet sort of soften. So it's like you're creating like a little crescent moon shape with your feet, like a baby's foot if you ever see a baby. They have these beautiful little crescent moon feet. So the knees are active. We're sitting up nice and tall. Let's bring our hands to our hearts. Close your eyes for a moment and drop the weight down in through the sit bones to find that lift through the top of the head. This pose is good for circulation. So feel the breath, feel the beating of the heart. As we drop the weight down into the sit bones, feel the connection to earth. Feel the bones of your body floating in that soft connective tissue and that fluid. On the next inhale, lift again a little bit more through the top of the head. As we exhale, keeping a straight back, we can slowly start to hinge forward. Just coming where you feel comfortable. Maybe the hands come to the floor, or maybe they come behind you, depending on how your back feels. Or they can stay at the heart. This does work a little bit of the muscles of the back body, so you might feel them working a little. And if your hands are touching the floor, what does it feel like in your back if you just lean into the floor with your fingers? So we start to engage a little bit from the arm lines, and that might take a little bit of pressure off of the back. And then inhale, come back up. Let's take the right hands behind the right knee and bend that knee. Make sure that the foot isn't right beside the leg, it's just a little bit apart. Take your left arm and we'll just wrap it around the leg, and then take the right hand behind you somewhere and slowly come into a twist. So our twists are detoxing. They're energizing. Really good for the spine. Keep that left heel engaged a little bit, leaning into the floor so we don't leave that knee hanging. That leg is active as well. Notice what your breath feels like. And then releasing from the top down, slowly coming back to center. Let's do just a little counter pose. So take your left hand to the floor. The right hand can reach forward, maybe grabbing a hold of that right foot. Or the ankle, whatever's comfortable. And then slowly come back up. Let's extend the right leg, bend the left knee, sitting tall. Take the right arm around the knee, Left hand comes behind you, come into your twist on this side. Again, noticing the difference from one side to the other. Gently leaning that right heel into the floor. Notice your breath. Again, thinking of that little toy from the center out, how the body moves all over with your breath. Gently release. We'll come back to center. Little counter pose, so right hand beside you, left arm reaches forward, maybe holds onto the foot. Get a little bit of a stretch to the shoulder. And then gently releasing that. Let's bend both knees. And if you're at the one end of your mat, maybe come right to the end. Hold behind both legs and roll down onto your back. Hug the knees to chest and rock a little side to side. So massaging the back of the neck, the shoulders, the back body, the organs of the back body. And then come into center, pause. Take the right hand to the right knee, left hand to the left knee. Let the weight drop down. So feel that connection to earth again. Let your bones soften. And then let the knees draw in towards the chest. So the hands are guiding the knees to the chest. Let the knees open up away from each other. They move away from you and back together. So you're creating circles. We call this mortar and pestle. So think of the bone of your leg rolling around into the socket of the hip. Sort of creating fluidity there. But also the elbows and the wrists and the shoulders are getting movement. And we're rolling over the sacrum. We're feeling the movement into the back body. Even the head, feel how the head moves with this. And the neck. So let the movement go in the opposite direction. Your circles go in the opposite direction. Watching the whole body move. And then come back to center. Hug the knees to chest as you exhale. And as you inhale, push the knees away from you. Straighten out the arms. Feel the low back come off the floor a little bit. Exhale, draw the knees in. Keep it comfortable. Inhale, knees move away. And one more time, exhale, draw the knees in. Inhale, release, lower the feet to the floor. Take the arms to your sides. Now, if there's any other pose your body feels like it needs, you can honor that right now. Otherwise, we're going to get ready for Shavasana. You can take, if you like, a bolster or pillow behind your knees. You can take the legs and straighten them out, or maybe it feels better to have the knees bent. I'm going to sit up so I can talk a little bit easier. And then you have the choice of closing your eyes or keeping the eyes open, but soften the gaze. And I will take you out of this Shavasana, so don't worry, I won't leave you hanging. You don't have to worry if I've forgotten. We're going to come back to our little pranayama, our little breathing exercise that we started with. So just first feeling the weight of the body, offering the weight down, that bowling ball weight of the head, the shoulders, the hips. So noticing what's touching the floor. And just let your body be held. Let the front body rest into the back body, and the back body resting into the floor. And again, bring attention to your first chakra, your root chakra, the very base of your spine. This time we'll inhale up to the crown of the head for a count of 3. Now hold for a count of 12. And then exhale to a count of 6 to the second chakra, right below the belly button. Inhale to the crown for a count of 3. Hold for a count of 12. Exhale to the solar plexus for a count of 6. Inhale to the crown, a count of 3. Hold for 12. Exhale to the heart, count of 6. Inhale to the crown for a count of 3. Hold for a count of 12. Exhale to the throat to count of 6. Inhale to the crown, a count of 3. Hold for 12. Exhale to the brow, count of 6. Inhale to the crown, the count of 3. And then holding for that count of 12. And then when you're ready, you can slowly release. Come back to your natural breath. And just observe, become the observer. When you realize nothing is lacking, the whole world belongs to you. Lao Tzu. In your own time, you can slowly add movement and gently come back to a seated position that feels good. Again, offering the weight down to find that lift through the top of the head. Notice the movement of breath, that natural flow, that giving and receiving action that you walk with all the time. Let's bring our hands to heart center, what we call Anjali Mudra. Elbows to the sides, thumbs into the heart. Sitting tall, it is my honor and pleasure to spend this morning with you. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. So if you have any questions, you can